Oh, sucks when you forget to stir your coffee. Anyways, this might look like I'm up really early and I needed coffee, but it's almost 5 p.m. But I still need coffee. Anyways, a few weeks ago I did a video on the Anbernic RG35XXh. Now I got this one to replace my Powkiddy. Well, not replace. I just wanted to kind of see what the difference was between those two, and I kind of discussed that in that video. I'll link it below. Now, a few weeks into using it, it kind of confirms what I already assumed in that video from a few weeks ago. This is a sturdier device, also when it comes to charging and, well, not depleting the battery while you're not using it. The Powkiddy seems to be using a lot of its battery even when it's in standby. Well, this one is pretty sturdy. If I don't use it, it goes down really, really slowly. I'm not 100% convinced yet with Garlic OS. It still kind of confuses me a little bit, but I've not put in enough time to kind of figure it all out. So maybe I should do that. When I'm recording this, I have a week of holiday coming up and I'm going to take it with me. Well, not this one, but I'll get back to that in a second. And we'll just see if I can figure it out. I also plan to replace the SD card that is in there and kind of install everything anew, but I need to find the time. Now in this video, I want to do something different. So this has a few benefits over the Powkiddy, but they both kind of have the same issue. I have big hands, I'm 6'7", 2 meters tall, I have big hands, and it just isn't really comfortable to play this for a longer time. But as I explained in my previous video, I also bought a second device, the Anbernic RG35XXh. Now for as far as I can tell when it comes to hardware, these are almost identical, except for the fact that this is landscape version, which makes a huge difference for me. It feels way more comfortable. On top of that, just when it comes to ergonomics, they added these little pads on the back. There's just everything feels a little better. You know what? Let's take a closer look at the device. Okay. So let's take a look at all of the buttons on this device. Now there are some big differences between those two devices and this one. It is kind of a mix between those two devices. It has the build quality of this and some of the extra options like this HD out, but it does have the joysticks that you see on the Powkiddy, which are missing from this device, which, to be honest, was one of the drawbacks of this device. In case you wanted to play PlayStation games and whatnot, that became very, very difficult. That should not be a problem with this one. This one is meant to look like a Game Boy, and this just has the black buttons that are very neutral. On the 35XXh, we actually see color-coded buttons. There's a select and a start button, and as I said, the joysticks, which are definitely a win for this device. Now on top, the HD out I mentioned earlier, there's a USB-C port for charging and a USB-C port for peripherals. Then you have the audio jack, of course. And this button is a function button and works a lot like the menu button that is on the regular device. Also on top are, of course, the shoulder buttons, which are on the back with the normal device. And to be honest, I don't really like this for my big hands. That didn't really always work out. These ones are actually double layered shoulder buttons. They're right next to each other. But anyways, let's move to the side. On one end you have the volume toggle. On the other end there's the power button and the reset button. At the bottom you have the two SD slots, and yeah, you have the grills for the speakers. Now, the one thing that I like so much about this device and that is so smart are these things on the back. They are basically small little cushions that have some resistance to them that make sure that it doesn't kind of slide out of your hands. Those cushions will rest on your middle fingers while you're playing. Yeah, it just kind of helps to secure the device in your hand. I think I got all the buttons. There's an indicator, a LED indicator right here that shows you the state of the device, if it's charged, if it's switched on or not. But talking about that, here we go. Again, my fingers all over the screen. And this is the stock OS for this device. It looks very different from the stock OS on the normal version, on the XX. Now, I'm kind of confused about these two first items. One is called Game Rooms, the other one is called RA Game. This one kind of divides everything in categories according to the console, with the 4 the platforms. Good. And then you have RA Game, which does the same thing, but it has more of that garlic look to it. But once you go in there, the list of games looks very similar. Meh. I guess it's two ways of getting to the same thing? I don't know. If you know what the difference is between these two, let me know, because I'm kind of lost. Then you have favorites, makes a lot of sense. There's history that will show you the games that you played. And then there's a search and settings. Now, as you might notice, there is not a way of switching to any other OS in this device. But we'll get to that later. When it does come to other settings, it looks pretty standard. You can set when your screen locks, the brightness of the device, the language settings. Now, contrary to the XX, the XXh actually has network capabilities. So you can set Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and Moonlight, whatever that is. When I did the review or the test of this device, I didn't find any Super Mario games on there. Let's see if this is different. Yeah, I was running through all of the games, but and then I realized, let me just use the search. That way you guys get to see what the search looks like. And it makes my life a little easier. It doesn't look like there's Super Mario on here either. So when it comes to games, what I see a lot of people advising is, one, to download your own games and also replace the SD card. Apparently the SD cards that are in there are really, really bad. I guess it all kind of depends on how much you plan to use the device. If you want to see any specific games, let me know. The idea of this video is not to review all of the games, but the device itself. I think the ROMs that are on all of these devices usually look very similar. One will render them a little better than the others. Now, for the most part, as I said, it is rather identical to the normal RG35XX. Unless, of course, you get a custom OS. I'm going to look into that. I'm going to look into getting, I don't know, some variation of Garlic OS, if I can install it on this. On the other hand, I don't need as many options as a lot of the diehard retro console players do. So, I think my first priority is going to be getting a new SD card and kind of installing all the ROMs again. And then we'll see if I can get a custom OS. I need to do some more research, but if I end up doing that, I'll make a separate video of this. Now, as I said, I'm leaving on a trip in a few days, and I'm bringing the H with me. I'm going to leave the normal XX at home. It looks really charming, but I have a 3-hour flight. I need something that will keep me entertained for those 3 hours, and that won't kind of get my hands to cramp up while I'm doing that. But overall, guys, look, I'm happy with both devices. And the funny thing is, both of these together are about the same price as one Powkiddy. I'm a really casual retro player, just an old man that enjoys the games that he used to play as a kid. But I do think Anbernic is quite a safe choice. Alright, I hope this video helped out and that you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care of yourself, take care of each other. Bye bye.